Hi, this is Morgan Turner with Iron Gate Realtors, and you're watching Dayton Inspires, powered by AlphaOne Exteriors.
The fastest growing, most reliable exterior company within the Dayton area. Today I have a very, very special guest with me. She's one of Dayton's youngest, fastest growing female entrepreneurs with Iron Gate Realtors, that's not only here to sell you a home, but to give you exciting insight as to what's going on in Dayton and the surrounding areas. Morgan Turner.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing?
About a year and a few months.
A year and a few months?
Yeah.
Okay. Where were you before that?
So I was working as an admin at the Iron Gate office. I was just helping other realtors with, processing their commissions and getting their listings up. And as I was seeing that come through, I was like, let me try real estate. Let me give it a shot. So I did. Okay. And that's kind of how I landed it. And then I actually just recently quit my job as an admin about a month ago because I felt like I was taking off as a realtor. So I just went for it.
So you started in kind of like just seeing like the behind the scenes work and like the paper and the is there underwriting that goes into that or
not with my job, no. There's underwriting with lending and stuff like that, but not with my direct job, no.
Okay. So you got to see a little bit of behind the scenes and you're like, I want to get at this.
Yeah. And I was actually also at a title company before too. So I was kind of like tiptoeing around real estate and then I finally was just like, let me just go for it. Let me see what I can do as a realtor. So
you've been in general home development for quite some time.
Yes.
Whether maybe not so much on the front end, but you've seen certain situations with like people that you're working with and you got to learn from.
Yeah.
I guess people that were already in it and getting established, and then you were able to like step to the bat.
Yeah, and it's actually funny you say that. I've been in that for a while because my dad was, my grandma was a realtor, my dad was a realtor, but that wasn't their full-time jobs. My dad was a home builder, does construction, he does apartment renovations now, but I've been around residential home building for my entire life. So it's just, I feel like it's kind of just how I've been brought up. And then once I got out of college and I did that title thing for a while, I was like, this is not for me. You know what I mean? It was all behind the scenes jobs. Very like sending emails out, sending things out behind the scenes is basically all it is. And then finally I was like, yeah, let me try real estate. And it's done well for me.
So what is your daily routine? So you mentioned in a couple of your videos, you mentioned like your age, like here's the day in the life, and even when you were coming in here, you're like, oh, do you mind if I film a little bit of my like daily life, and whatnot? What is your daily routine as a 25-year-old realtor now?
So I would say in the morning I always start with my to-do lists. That's how I have to do everything in life, is off of a to-do list. Right now I have a lot of deals going, so I'm going to be interested to see what it looks like when I don't have deals going. Since I don't have my 9-to-5 job anymore, I'm going to have to figure that out basically. But right now it's starting with my to-do list, hitting my emails first, and then just planning my content for the week, what I'm going to be filming, when I need to film it, when I need to edit it, when it needs to be posted. And then I just kind of float around the day until somebody needs me for a showing or something. I have a lot of systems in place that I like for marketing, as far as my monthly mailers go out once a month. I also have email blasts that go out every other week or something like that. And then I just stay on top of stories on Instagram and Facebook. I'm reaching out to people that I haven't talked to in a while. Literally all I think about is just trying to stay top of mind on anyone I'm touching. Like, if I've seen you recently, I'm going to reach out again. Like, just staying top of mind. That's really it.
Yeah.
So, I guess that's my day-to-day.
So that's like, there's a lot of, and it's funny because it's super similar with like construction in general.
Yeah.
Like you have to spend a vast amount of time in brand awareness, right? Literally staying top of mind. Yeah. And even like almost twofold more than lead generation, where like you're like, all right, here's the ask, like here's the offer and stuff like that. But just being like that face, I noticed you give like a lot of educational content and whatnot. So is that part of your system and what you're thinking and planning when the homeowner or just in general your audience is watching you?
Yeah. What do you mean as far as like the educational content that you're talking about?
Like the videos that you do
For like the home walkthroughs?
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are kind of like, some of those videos were like the big massive houses that are like, 800,000 that are a log cabin and they're absolutely gorgeous. But I just did one recently that's like what you can get in a Fairborn, Ohio for 150,000. Like, because I want to be able to relate to people that they're like, okay, great, that's a big log cabin that I can't afford. So, and it's like, I'm coming down to other people's level where it's like, okay, let's get serious. You can actually afford a house. It's 150,000 in Fairborn, Ohio. It's close to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. So I guess if that's what you're asking, I try to do those videos to hit different groups of people.
Yeah, that's perfect. So you mentioned a little bit of content. You also mentioned that you and your partner create content when you first came in here.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Talk about some of like, so I work with my significant other.
Okay.
And I know a little bit of the struggles in general. What are some of the things that you guys face when you guys are looking at like creating a plan together or just like the work-life balance with it?
Yeah, so first of all, he is like absolutely amazing for ever wanting to help me with this. He kind of had the idea like, let's start filming these videos, and he is pretty good with like learning technology and everything like that. So he started doing it on the phone, and then he started getting into YouTube videos and like learning on how to export them to get them to not be blurry and everything like that. And the more and more he got into it, I was like, I'm about to drop some money on some camera equipment. Like you can learn it, and I have 100% faith that he will learn whatever I give him. He's an engineer, so he just like, that's how he's built. So yeah, I spent a pretty penny on some camera equipment, and he just dove into it. He started learning all that on YouTube and how to do things. He's reached out to different people. He's in different Facebook groups and stuff. So I kind of put it on his lap, and then he took it and just went for it. But the work-life balance with that, I kind of planned what we're going to do, and then I tell him, and then he's like, okay, this is what my idea is with it. And then I just let him go with it, is how that works. I like to film the behind the scenes videos. I'm sure you've seen those.
Yeah.
Because it's funny because he gets so irritated with me because I try to boss him around. I'm just a bossy personality. Okay, that's just who I am. I have to have full control. So I started filming those behind the scenes because I'm just bossy, and he knows what he's doing. He knows
self-awareness in that.
It is. Yeah, there is. Yeah. So he knows what he's doing, and I just need to let him go, because every time he does it, I'm like, man, that's good. Like, why did I even talk? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's been a lot of fun learning it with him and doing it with him, because, I've had people reach out, I can pay them X, Y, and Z to do this, but I'm like, my boyfriend's going to learn this, and we're going to take this on together, and there's no one else I'd rather do that with. You know what I mean? Like, to learn through all of that. But there's some struggle there.
Do you have any tips for couples that are working together, right? That you've seen success out of?
Good question. He works from home. That's interesting enough. He works from home. So I work from home as a realtor. We're like in two separate worlds. Like, he's in the office doing his thing. I work in the living room and I do my thing. We both have AirPods in, and then I'll walk over to him and be like, hey, do you want to go for a walk? So, I don't know if I have tips for the whole like work-life balance for couples that work together, because we don't work together all day. So I think that's a little bit different. We only work together for like real estate wise on the weekends. But I also have to keep in mind, like, he doesn't want to spend every weekend, every Saturday or Sunday morning filming a video of me. He doesn't want to do that. So I try to be very like, I try to think out everything, but I'm just like, this is kind of bringing income for both of us at the same time. So it's like, we kind of have to get over it. I don't know. I don't really have many tips for that, I don't think, because I'm still learning through it myself.
Okay. Okay, we've talked about the relationship aspect. We've talked about how you started. What are some things so this is more geared toward like because I know there's like real estate agents that watch you, right? As a result, because you're setting the tone.
Yeah.
You're setting the tone for the industry of how you should educate people and how you should brand yourself, and you're being like the example of what you need to be. So given that, say for like early on realtors, right, working with contractors, what is something that, you know, they should look for when working with a contractor? And then we'll get into like some things that they should probably steer away from.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I've worked with a few contractors that I've learned I've loved and that I will never work with again. I think having that personal connection, and people blow off like going out and getting coffee with somebody or going out and getting lunch with somebody, that is so important to me. And the reason it is because I want to know who my clients are working with. I know this person's personality. I know my buyer's personality. And if they're going to go work with a roofer, I want to know that that person is not just trying to get the deal or trying to get, just basically trying to get the deal. They're genuinely caring about the person that they're working with. And if it's like more of an elderly person, I want to make sure that I know certain roofers that I'm like, okay, this person's kind of cut and dry. He's just going to get it done. He's a great person, but he's not going to talk to you and he's not going to explain things. I'm going to put that elderly person with someone that's a little bit more understanding, very calm, and so that's my advice for new realtors working with contractors. And I love that question because I'm still trying to get like my book of people that I like. Oh, this plumber, 100%. That's her. That's him. Don't work with anybody else. Like, he's the one. And I have like that, like, friendship. I want to be friends with these people. I want to be able to go out to dinner and go get a drink with these people because they should be friends almost before they're a contractor for me. And I know I am so passionate about that. I don't know if that's answering the question that you're looking for.
Well, it's true. There's there's a level of like relationship.
It is.
Because like you have to pull back like the layers of whatever a person's gonna give you for a first impression.
Yeah.
Right. And I think the coffee, so with our referral partners, I make sure I have one-on-ones with all the referral partners.
Yeah.
And I go through like a three-step process here. Right? I say, okay, what are your own personal goals within, maybe a business and a finance goal, right? Like within yourself. And they tell me kind of some of the things that they're working toward this year. Some people are working toward bonuses. Some people are working toward certain revenue thresholds. Some people, because I'm a firm believer that you have to ask that question up front because number one, if you're building a business transaction, I want to know that the people that I'm with are winning. Right. Yeah. And I want to know how I can continue to help them win. Yeah. And money is a resource. Yeah. So I ask that in our one-on-ones, and then I go into personal stuff, and I go, okay, what are you working on now in your personal life? Are you trying to buy more family time back? Yeah. Are you trying to get better at your health? Yeah. Are you dealing with some sort of work-life balance, or are you is there some level of leadership I can help you within your organization that I learned the hard way, right? Because I learned a lot of things the hard way. So if I can help someone with that, I like to ask that personal thing, and it helps me check in on people too, how your kids doing? Hey Jen, or hey Morgan, you said you wanted to run this marathon. How often are you running?
Are you on top of your stuff?
Yeah, I saw that there was this deal for Orange Theory or something like that. Or I'm like, hey, check out this nutritionist. Yeah. Right? You know what I mean? Just things like that. Yeah. That I could help my partners. And then the third one is if we were to have a working relationship, what is the best way for me to benefit you? Yeah. And so it's having that one-on-one, that coffee time is everything. Yeah. Because then it's more than just transactional. It's there's a little bit of
yes, it's so important. And you said something that made me think of this. Another thing is my title girl, for example. I can call her, the hours are 9 to 5, but I could call her Saturday at midnight and she'll answer or text me back if she's up, of course. And I'm I have a title question right now. I need it answered, and she'll answer it. And that is so important. So back to the relationships, that's what I need from somebody is when I'm looking to work with a contractor. Sometimes you don't always get that luxury of getting to know somebody like that, but yeah.
What are some of the horror stories that you've had?
So I had I won't even say what they did because I don't want to call them out.
No, it's
Yeah.
in general.
Yes, I had this person, just really bad communication, changing quotes halfway through, because when we settle on a defect notice, that's the payment that the sellers have agreed to and the buyers have agreed to, and we've split that payment, and that's what's agreed to. So when we get to, you may have not went out there to quote the job, but when you go out to there to finally do the job, and you're like, oh shoot, I need this. What's too late? This is the quote, and that's it. You should have quoted more. That's how I feel about it, and it's true because that's what we decided on. So the quote changed, and then another situation was just this person calling my buyers back to back to back and was not giving them a sense of comfortability. This person was just making them feel nervous, and they're buying a house. You know what I mean? So the last thing they need is a contractor calling them. They need to be calling me because I'm the in-between person. So that was a horror story, and I was like, he called you and said what? And I'm like, oh my God. So that was another situation. This is all with the same person. And then there was one more thing that was like a pretty big oh, he wanted work for his guys, and so he wanted it to happen sooner. And
So he's trying to rush the process.
yes, he was trying to rush the process because what was supposed to be done was going to be done just a few days before closing, because I don't want my buyers to be, say they get a whole new something to happen and then they put all this money into the house and then they don't close on their loan 2 days before the house or before the closing because something crazy happens. What happens to my buyers' money that went into that house that's no longer theirs? So that's why I was strategically mapping it out to that time, and he wanted it to happen at a different time because he wanted to work for his guys. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't care.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I do care about your guys.
A lot of times, like that's mishandling.
Yeah.
Right? Because for us, for example, like we focus on like, okay, giving you like the full transparency. If there is like a material shortage, right? We're going to tell you like, hey, listen,
tell me
this thing is going to be like 3 to 4 months before we can get this type of siding.
Yeah.
Decide whether maybe we want to make a pivot or something like that. But like there's going back to your situation, there's like a lot of guys that just like they try to turn money fast, right? And they try to use that as like a retainment like tool.
Yeah.
Our thing is culture.
Yeah.
We're not like, we have financial goals for our guys and we help them with, their financial paths. But, we're not going to compromise like the homeowner just because, so-and-so wants to make a quick sale,
Exactly.
get the deal closed.
Yeah.
Cause like, that's not the point. There's going to be more opportunity.
Right.
Right? There's going to be more opportunity for you to make more money. Just like follow the process and go through the right handling.
Right.
So these guys are trying to like turn money quick, and
Yeah.
they're just like, just trying to get people paid rather than focusing on their business. They focus on the sale rather than their business.
Right. Right. And yeah. And that's that's exactly what it is. Yeah, and I've never heard it put that way. They're focusing on what's at hand instead of like this long-term relationship. But that's what I was going to say. There was no relationship there with him at all. Like it was, the other thing, he was really cheap. He was very cheap, cheaper than any other contractor we had. So I was like, okay, I don't care. I'm sorry. Like it'll have to be a very like we are cutting pennies type of thing to try to get this deal done if I'll ever use that again, because like of how just the communication was it was not making anybody feel comfortable at all. And I don't want that.
And normally the cheapest guy is the fastest guy, right? Because he's trying to underbid everybody.
Yeah.
Which ultimately, so what falls short when you underbid? Quality.
Yeah.
Like
right.
what are you missing?
Yeah.
What are you missing that this is so drastically cheaper than the rest of it?
Yeah.
You either have poor talent that's working on it and their craftsmanship, or you're just trying to get the easy win.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Underbid everybody and then you compromise quality, which we can't afford to do because we have multiple in-house team members and then behind the scenes team members. So we can't afford, like, quality will never drop. above everything. We'll say like, hey, listen, this is the quality that you want and how you want it. It's going to cost this. Like, it's better to have more transparency on what that is.
Yes.
Rather than just trying to, like, you know, you try to save on materials or you try to do XYZ stuff and you just end up hurting everyone.
Right.
And it's your reputation on top of all that.
Yeah. And that gets embarrassing. And you, actually,
That's the worst thing you could lose.
Yes, it is. That's all I have.
Yeah.
That's all I have. That I'm working with the best people. I'm bringing you the best contractors, and they're taking care of you. And they're coming to me with the issue where I can be like, okay, this is how we're going to suppress it so that I can bring this pretty version of it to my buyers.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, you're exactly right. You understand completely.
Yeah. Nightmares with contractors.
Yeah.
They exist.
God.
They exist more than people know.
Yeah.
Which the reason why I also love what you do is there's a very similar thing that we do is my whole goal is to get our entire business on video. Like, that's the thing. It's like every single aspect. Like, hey, if this has to be done, videotape it, explain why you're doing it, because somebody else is going to have to experience it down the line. And it's the same thing with you. When you go to showcase something, you might show something or like some sort of like some sort of property and like that's already sold, but they can go to you and go, do you have something that's similar to this?
Yeah.
And now you're able to like work with like the style and the taste and stuff like that. So I love that you do that with all your videos.
Yeah. I'm hitting back on one of the first things you said. You said that you tell people to like film something when they're doing it. Do you get the people out in the field to do that?
100%.
Oh my gosh. I feel like
100%.
That's hard to do because they're like, I only do sighting. I'm not doing social media.
Well, it's part of our coaching. I'm like, listen, if you want more jobs, you better pull that phone out and start recording what you're doing.
Do your hair this morning.
Yeah, because somebody has a question about this.
Yes, exactly.
Like, okay, prime example. We had like a shingle, we had to make sure that it wasn't discontinued.
Okay.
Right? So what you have to do is when there's like a storm claim, you know, that it was damaged from like wind uplift and all this other stuff, with the insurance, you have to do a shingle pull, right? And so you have to take that shingle, you have to send it into the manufacturer, and you have to make sure that it's still in stock, and it's not discontinued.
Okay.
So I shot that video like 4 months ago, and we just used it for a homeowner that was like, what are you going to have to do? Oh, well, here's exactly what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right? So the more that you can do that, it's just all about education and transparency. Because, like, number one, if they can see how you uphold quality, because your homeowner doesn't see the house that, you know, you did, like, even a week ago or 2 weeks ago, all the nitty-gritty things that went into it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you can document that, you can build trust with somebody. You can pull back that layer, have some transparency, and you can train your guys to do that. So for me, I'm not always on all the locations, but, like, my project manager, my sales guys, they all know that when they get there, the sales guys have to identify the problem and say what we're going to do for it. Project manager has to show the final details of when it's fixed, and how we fixed it.
Yeah.
So it's like when you divide and conquer like that, it makes it really easy to kind of see all the problems that homeowners have.
Yeah.
Right? And now, as a result, we go, okay, how do we better educate this? How do we better service somebody? What are we getting a lot of? Right?
Yeah. So, like, how can we educate more on that?
Yeah. And how can we create, materials that, a lot of contractors are just falling short on.
Okay.
Like, they just don't care about. Like, there's trucks in a truck that are just, like, pulling up, ready to get this job. It's like, well, you can get that job, or you could, change somebody's whole experience. Because if I crush it and I was referred to by you, you crushed it. Yeah, right. So, like,
it's a whole chain.
It's a whole chain.
Yeah.
So I love doing that. I love doing it with our team, because I love that people get to kind of know our team more.
And that's exactly why I do kind of what I do, because I feel like every realtor out there gets, especially on social media, they'll get on and be like, use me as your realtor, and this is why. And it's just so dry. I'm like, who wants to use you as your realtor when you're not telling them anything about yourself or making them feel like you can connect with them.
Yeah.
People see me on Instagram or they see me on TikTok and they're like, oh, she's got this bubbly personality and she's, I'm energetic and I've got all this, whatever. Not always good things. I just have the good things. Yeah, so it's like they can already tell who they're going to work with when they, give me a call or I give them a call. They're like, oh, I know exactly how she's going to be. And these other people, that's why I think that that's so important. So yeah, you're building that connection with your clients or your customer, whoever.
Yeah, for sure. Which, not to mention, on top of getting to know you, you're up to date on everything Dayton.
I try to be.
You try to be. You try to be. Actually, you crush it with like understanding kind of like the area, which is what I love that you do as a realtor. You're not just like here to sell. And I said that in the very beginning. Oh. You're not here to sell a home. You're here to like educate these people on like what's popping, what's going on around Dayton, like what's happening. And I watched like a couple of your videos. One of them that I loved and got a bit of notoriety was the top 5 coffee places, which I need a little bit of education on, because I can't remember the one, but it was really open.
Pettibone.
Seating.
Pettibone. In Riverside. Yeah.
That place slaps.
Did
That's
you go?
So good. It's so good.
I know. It's so good. And like all the natural light in there, I'm just like, I don't even care if I'm not drinking coffee today. Like, this is the vibe.
That's a great place to work too.
It is.
If you just post up. Just like...
And it's always busy. There's always people in there.
Yeah.
I kind of put my head down when you said the coffee video because people were destroying me in those comments. I don't know if you ever took a look at those. They were destroying me. They're like, this isn't even in Dayton. She doesn't even know anything about Dayton. I'm talking about the greater Dayton area.
Yeah, Dayton and Beaver Creek's like 5 minutes away.
Exactly. I know. So, and I'm like, okay. And then I started thinking, I'm like, should I not be saying the Dayton area? I'm like, that's stupid. I was like, get out of your head. These people are just making me.
100%.
But yeah, so that was one of them. And I'm hoping to do more of those in the future. Those videos take freaking forever, but I love them because they're good. I have to go to each place. I'm like driving around for 2 hours. I did a boutique one, and that was hard to not purchase everything at every boutique I go in. So, yeah.
By the way, I need some sort of coffee recommendations.
Okay.
Because like we have these referral care packages that we do. Okay. And for the longest time, I was using Public Goods. Okay. Public Goods Coffee, which, I should probably leave it out because they're not sponsoring me. But anyway.
And they're not local.
So
cut it out.
That's what I need. I need
local.
I need a local suggestion that I can pack my referral boxes with. That is some slapping coffee and just really good. Okay, so where are these people? I mean, is it just a referral? Okay, so it's just to any person that sends you. Yeah, so normally what I'll do is we'll build these boxes, and I'll put some like fresh coffee, like some ground coffee in there that's like really high quality.
I would say Coffee Hub.
Coffee Hub.
Yeah, Coffee Hub. It's in.
I'm writing it down.
Yeah, Beaver Creek, Vandalia. I think there's one in where's the other place? Waynesville. I actually dang near graduated with Coffee Hub because I finished my senior year of college. Well, like my last semester of college, Coffee Hub every single day. I would be there, and they would, as soon as I'd pull in, they'd bring me my drink.
And they sell the bags?
I believe so, yes. Yes, okay. Yeah. I got cold brew, but I believe they sell the grounds.
What would you recommend as far as, do they have like different flavors and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I get a medium cold brew with caramel and oat milk.
No, for the grounds.
Oh, no, I don't know. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, you'll have to look. Yeah.
All right, medium cold brew with what?
Caramel and oat milk.
Caramel and oat milk.
That's wherever I go. That's what I get.
Right on.
Yeah.
I like oat milk.
What'd you get at Pettibone?
So I do I'm cut out of sugar.
Okay.
So I did like one of the sugar-free lattes and stuff like that. But like even so, it's like it was like a really good. It was just a really good latte. Like it's well done. Everything's open. They do it right in front of you. It's right in the center too.
Yeah.
So it's like it's kind of fun that you like, I don't know.
Pettibone's got this like whiskey vanilla latte or something. Oh my gosh, whiskey bourbon, I forget. It's so good. So I don't know if it has sugar in it.
Whiskey bourbon vanilla. I think I could have whiskey.
Yeah.
Whiskey with it.
Yeah, you'll have to try the next time you're there. It's super good. So
Done.
Yeah.
Done and done. Done and done. We'll do a one-on-one.
All right, let's do it.
We'll hit up Pettibone. Speaking of these trends, so tell me a little bit about your process. You say, how do you find these things to do? Number one.
Okay.
Right. And tell me a little bit about your process. You spend like 2 hours driving around.
Yeah.
To all these places, so firsthand.
Yeah.
You are straight from the horse's mouth.
Yes.
Quality.
Yes. So the top 5 things to do, like this weekend in Dayton or whatever. I've done a few of those videos. I looked them up on Dayton Local. Dayton Local is the best place to go for things to do in Dayton. I also look it up on Facebook because they do like events pages or something like that with like what's going on. Like, I think it's not this weekend. Next weekend is the Popcorn Festival in Beaver Creek. They have like an events page on Facebook. So okay. I interest myself in all of them and I try to actually go. But that's how I do the top 5 and I do the green screen on that. So I don't actually go. But then I'll sit there and think like, what are like my favorite breweries to go to in Dayton, in the Dayton area? And then I'll start looking up Dayton breweries and I'm like, oh yeah, I went to that place and I remember. And they're not always based off of, and this is where it starts to get, I can't believe she didn't mention Ghostlight over Pettibone. And
I saw that.
People get crazy. I know. So.
This means you got to make a part 2 now.
Exactly. I know. Right? And I want to shout everybody out, of course, but I only want to do like 5 because, so yeah, I do like my next one I'll do is probably breweries.
Not until they start sponsoring you.
So actually,
not until they start sponsoring.
Someone reached out, and I'm gonna actually mention him right now because I was really impressed that he did this because everybody was tagging him, and they were like, they don't know, or she doesn't know about this place. Oh, it's the Creamery in Germantown. So I'm gonna mention him right now. He commented on it and was like, yeah, she don't know about us or something like that. And it was just cute. And then he actually said, next time I go in there, I'll just let him know, show him this video, and then they'll give me a free pastry and coffee or whatever for trying them out. I'm like, you know what? That's some type of like, I enjoyed that. That was nice. So.
Okay. So the Creamery.
Yeah.
Creamery.
That's another one. Germantown.
Have you ever been to Tender Mercy?
Yes, I have. That's the underground, right?
Yeah,
underground bar.
The underground bar.
Yeah, I have. I didn't really enjoy it, but isn't there like, is it like whiskey drinks or something there? I didn't like my drink there, but I could have.
They have a
gotten
lot of really fun cocktail type things. Like their bartenders, like they definitely crush it with drinks.
I heard they're the best ones in Dayton. The Tender Mercy has like the best bartenders in Dayton.
Oh really?
I don't know where I heard that. Don't quote me on. I've heard that from word of mouth.
Well, their videos are banging.
Are they?
Their videos are crazy on.
Oh my god, I'm gonna have to.
They're.
I don't follow them. I'll have to follow them.
Yeah. What are you finding that people are connecting with that you mentioned? So you mentioned the friction that you get, but what are you mentioning? Like, what videos have you done that you find that people are really resonating with?
The top 5 things to do in this weekend, because some people message me and be like, hey, I actually went to that place this weekend and that was a lot of fun. Have you ever been there? Something like that.
Okay.
And then, I did like a 4th of July one and they were like, hey, this is super helpful. I didn't know we had fireworks all weekend in a different spot. That was another thing that they enjoyed. People love watching the home tour videos, and they just say that it's kind of, I don't think that it really helps them. I think it's more just like HGTV on Instagram and TikTok.
It's the cool, fun, FOMO of like, be a nice little home.
I think a lot of people like that I'm highlighting and they're like, oh my gosh, that's my back door. Like, and I'm making it look like, this big production or something, but it's really just like down the street and it's like, oh, I grew up there. Like, or I'm like, top 5 places to go, like coffee shops or whatever, and I mentioned one and they're like, oh my gosh, that's my favorite too. So it's just relationships and people, just relating, and they're like, yeah, I like that place too, and she's highlighting where I grew up, where I live, and no one really does that here. Because it's not Tampa or it's not LA.
That's one of the biggest things that I noticed when I first started following you.
Yeah.
Right? Because, like, you were going for it, and you're trying to like showcase like it's not about where everybody is. It's about finding that place that everybody's like neglecting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not about where all the attention is. It's
Yeah.
about where could the attention be that people aren't paying attention.
Yeah, they're like, oh, I can't stand Dayton. Where it's like, there's a lot of good things in Dayton.
Yeah.
There is. So
That being said, why is Dayton a prime place to live?
why is Dayton a prime place to live? I feel like we're really close to Cincinnati and Columbus. We're an hour away from each. So
Cities.
yeah, major cities. Wright-Patterson Air Force Base hires so many people. Once you get on there, people, I mean, like, once you get on Wright-Pat, you're, like, set for life, like, insurance and everything like that. So that's a great job. We also have great hospitals in our area that a lot of travel nurses come and work for. So I think some of those jobs, that's a couple places that's a good, we're good to live here. I feel like it's kind of a small town feel here, but I also have grown up here. So I feel like it's more small town I don't know, because I feel like I know someone in every area, so I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going up to Tip City tonight. Let me call my friend so-and-so, you know? Yeah. And it's also hard for me to tell you why Dayton is so good because I've never been anywhere else. I grew up here. I was raised here. I was born here. So it's like I've never lived anywhere outside of Dayton. So it's like I don't know what to compare it to. Why are we so good? It's like I have a couple things, but I don't know what to compare it to otherwise.
I got you. You deal with like selling, people get mortgages. Mm-hmm. From your experience, what is it like? Like how much of a kind of a differentiator is it renting versus having a mortgage or like having like property?
In what way?
Price.
Okay. So
Do you think it's more feasible to own a home than it is to rent?
there's a couple things with that. I think it depends on where you're at in your life.
Okay.
If you're a single person, not looking for a lot of like home maintenance and stuff, and you know you're wanting to spend more of your money on traveling and not so much home, you know, not so much just here. I don't know. It's in a different situation for each person. Because I'll straight up tell you, don't buy a house right now. Someone was wanting to move the other day, and she has a 3% interest rate. It's like, do not move. Are you happy where you're at? There's no reason you should be moving right now. There's not. She just wanted a bigger house, and she didn't know why. But back to the question. I believe it's where you're at in your life. If you think that you're about to start a family and you want that, I believe a house is the best way to go because that starts your investing in your future because you have this, you know, I don't want to say a tiny house, but a smaller house that for your first time home, you know, you're starting just with your husband and you're wanting to have a kid eventually, and you can use that as a rental in the future when you have to, you know, when you have a kid and you have to get a bigger house. So right now, I think it just, to answer your question, it depends on where you're at in your life because I don't think homeownership is for everybody, but I don't think getting an apartment is the best option either. So
What do you think for a couple that's like looking to build a family? What are some really hot options for like new homeowners for like that couple?
like where?
Yeah, like locations, and then maybe what are some things that you would look for in like a new home, like specifically geared toward trends.
Okay, for a new family.
Yep.
Let me think. I would say, are you talking about in the house or locations? I'm sorry.
Let's split it. Let's talk about location first.
Okay.
Location, because Dayton is Dayton, and then there's greater Dayton.
Yes, and we're talking Greater Dayton. I'm always talking about Greater Dayton when I say Dayton. So a lot of times I will recommend them to niche.com because they have, and I'm not sponsored by them, they're a great platform to go on to. Go on there and look up schools. There's like A- ratings, B- ratings. They'll give you crime, they'll give you nightlife. And that's where you could go to and kind of find what's best for a family. Actually, it'll tell you if this is a good area for a family. Like, it'll straight up tell you.
Interesting.
So,
niche.com?
Niche.com, yeah. And I think it was originally based around like colleges and where people are going to college, but they break it down into so much, and you must learn more about your city. I mean, like I said, I was born and raised in Beaver Creek, and I'm like, wait, Beaver Creek's like the #2 place to live in Greene County? I had no idea. So yeah, it's just like, I love that site. So I would recommend going there. as far as location wise, as far as like what you would look for in a house for a new family, definitely a basement, I think, depending on your budget. Basement, because once you're done with like that, you need a lot of extra storage when you have a kid, in my opinion. That's what I've found when, working with these smaller families. So definitely a basement. Maybe an more open floor concept, or the 2 living room thing, because people like to have the playroom for their kids. I've found a place where they hang out, and then the place where they put all the toys and stuff. So those are a couple trends that I've seen recently.
Okay. Let's see here. That being said, what are some of the concerns from a first-time home buyers?
How much do I need? How much money do I need? Or that's always the first question. But I can't answer all those questions on how much you need, how much you need to work, or what your credit score should be. I can give you like the very tip of the iceberg, and then I refer them to my trusted lenders. You know what I mean? So those are some of those concerns there. That's always, but as far as like what I can actually deal with, I would say maybe like once they start getting under contract, they start to get nervous. That's one thing, because they're like, oh, I'm actually buying a house. So that's a concern, I guess.
Why is that?
What do you mean?
Yeah, so when they're in that phase, like where technically they're about to do something new for the first time.
Oh my gosh,
Right,
with their
so
first
what's going through their heads?
Yeah, this is a huge. This is the biggest purchase they may ever make in their life. You know what I mean? If this is their forever home, this could be potentially the biggest purchase they ever make, purchasing a house. So I think going through their heads is just, I don't know what's going through their heads, but I try to be very calm. I try to very thoroughly explain everything, almost in a scaring way, but not, because I want them to know this is a legally binding contract. This is not something that you can just, yeah, I love this house, I can't wait to paint the walls, blah, blah, blah. Like, if the roof falls in tomorrow, that's your responsibility once you buy this house. Like, I try to really take the pretty face off and show them the nitty gritty of what this could be. You know what I mean? And I think that can scare them sometimes, but I'm not trying to intimidate them, but I'm trying to let them know what they're getting themselves into, so.
Yeah, which is also why you need a reliable contractor.
Yes.
for those rare situations where things, need to be checked on. I know for investors, which, they're the same type of persona, maybe a little bit different of incentive.
Yeah.
Right. But, we tell them hey, make sure that you get a check and make sure that there's no liens on the property and make sure that all the legal, everything's set, which you take care of, on your end, because you're the expert that they're trusting you with. But then we say, make sure that every single property gets a full exterior evaluation.
Okay.
Or assessment.
Okay.
And most companies, true reputable companies, will do that for free.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know that's what we do. We do that for free as complimentary. We give a full report with photos of everything. So it's roof, siding, gutters. You get the full 360. And then you have a link that you can go through and you can see so that you don't have to climb up there. See,
and that's nice that you do that, because I'm assuming if they're getting a siding quote, you're still going to give them everything else with their gutters.
100%. Yeah. If we're checking the roof, we're going to make sure that we're also going to check the chimney. You know what I mean? It's it's not going to be one or the other. It's going to make sure that everything is cohesive. And then even if there is something minor, or if everything's great, wouldn't you want to know that it's great?
Yeah. Hey, that roof is still looking good.
there's the photos, all that stuff. So we do the full exterior inspection, and then obviously trusted contractors. Make sure that you're not going for the cheapest person. You're going for the right person.
Yeah.
The person that's just going to give you transparency, pull it back, and just say, this is what your situation is.
Right.
This is what we can do to fix it. Which even, on a finance end, we offer financing and stuff like that. So there's options for people.
Yeah.
But getting back to the concerns for a homeowner.
Yeah.
They're about to purchase something legally binding for the first time. You like to put the pressure on.
I do put a little bit of pressure,
to make sure they understand.
Yes.
The seriousness of it. Talk about a little bit of the relief once they sign.
I was a little bit more surprised because I thought closing day they would be like, oh my God, and I thought it would be this big, like, excitement. I mean, I obviously come in all excited, but they're not as excited on closing day as they are when they actually get the house. So when I call them and I'm like, hey, you got the house, I've gotten chills, I've gotten teared up just because, like, I know how hard, like, I'm going to just mention this one military family I've been working with for so long. They have, like, went contract after contract after contract, and we finally wrote this, like, well, they wrote this buyer letter, and the sellers were kind of like, I really like this buyer letter on what they're wanting to use my house for. They're wanting to build their family here and everything. And I called them and she started crying. I had chills. I was like tearing up. So I think that's one of the biggest reliefs is when they finally get it. And especially in this market right now, like everyone's competing like wolves out there. So I think that's one of the bigger reliefs. But yeah, closing day, they're like excited, but that's like all the hard work's been done. They're like, okay, let's just move on. I'm ready to move in. So, yeah, it's not as exciting as I thought.
Exciting.
Yeah, okay. And I don't always get to see that. So
yeah.
That's after me.
Unless they invite you to bring the boxes in, but
yeah, and I'll help.
No one. Yeah. So we mentioned niche.com.
Yes.
So switch gears here. Let's talk a little bit about Zillow. How accurate are the prices on Zillow?
I don't think Zillow is perfectly accurate. I think it's accurate enough. It's close enough. I was once told how Zillow actually pulls, and I completely forget, but how they pull their comps, I was like, what? It didn't make any sense at all. And you can actually go on Zillow and look at what they're pulling as their comps for the house that you're trying to, if you're wanting to sell your house and they're pulling comps, those houses look nothing like your house. So I don't know how they're pulling that, but I do like Zillow. I use Zillow when I'm on showings and stuff like that, just like pulling stuff up really quick. But if you're looking to price your house, please do not use Zillow. That's not accurate. It's close enough, but not. If you're going to competitively market your house to actually sell, you're not going to get a good price range, especially because sometimes depending where their house is at, you can price it a little bit lower knowing that you're going to get a higher bid because people want to compete for that. If you're in Beaver Creek, that's one of the most popular places to buy a house right now. If, say your house is worth $300,000. If you listed at $290, people, oh my God, like this house is worth $310. And then they're like, okay, how many offers do you have? There's 8 offers. They're like, okay, we'll go $340. And you knew that your house was around that 300 area, but you went down 10 because you knew that it would, because people are attracted to that. You know what I mean? So things like that. And Zillow's not going to tell you that. Yeah. So you got to work with a professional like myself. No, I'm just joking.
No, 100%. Yeah. No,
yeah.
100%. That's why. Because like at the end of the day, Zillow's trying to push transactions.
Yes. Yeah.
Zillow's not trying to push relationship.
No. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's a lot of, I think of for sale by owners when I think of Zillow too, though, because I used to call for sale by owners. And that's where I got them all, was from Zillow. And yeah, they're not looking for relationships or, they're just trying to look for the highest dollar, which I get that. Some people, that's just how they have to do things. So
one of the things that you mentioned is with Zillow, they can, get like a showing, but one of the videos that you mentioned, you said, hey, even if you have like a realtor or like someone or you've seen someone that like and trust, call them.
Yes.
And then see if they'll show up for you.
So I ran into this situation a couple of times. So without getting all into the legalities of things, but when you're driving on the road and you're like, I've been wanting to work with Morgan as my realtor, and then you see a house for sale and they've got, a sign in the yard or something, and it's someone else's face on the sign, they automatically call that person because they think that person is the only person that can sell that house. And that's how Zillow works. They call on, whatever the listing. Yeah, they buy leads on, the lead things are on Zillow. So like you can say like, show me this house, and you click it and it'll go out to the people that are purchasing leads from Zillow. So that's why I always try to push, when you see a house that you like, call me because I can get you in there. You know what I mean? because that's how, I mean, that's, yeah, like I said, that's Zillow's getting leads from that, and that's why people pay Zillow. So
Yeah, and I mean, on top of that, Zillow's not going to give them guidance.
no.
Zillow's not going to give them guidance. They're not going to give them like best interest.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be whoever bought the lead.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Yes, because, and they may not know this area well. They've got their radius set to like from Columbus to Cincinnati. And this agent could be between Dayton and Columbus, and you clicked on a house in Cincinnati, deep in Cincinnati, that agent's going to be selling you that house in Cincinnati. I mean, if the agent has that, if they're willing to do that far. But yeah, that's not your realtor that you want to use. You know, if you're thinking greater Dayton area, I want you to think of me because I know the greater Dayton area. I'm not going to try to sell you something in Cincinnati. So yeah, exactly what you said. They're pulling some random person that just bought a lead, and that person from between Columbus and Dayton are going to come and show you that house in Cincinnati that they know probably not as much as someone in Cincinnati would know.
Which is a major tip for homeowners that are using Zillow. This is exactly why you need to have somebody within your pocket that you know that you can trust, and it's going to give you advice on the area.
Right.
Not just the home.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
That being said, do you think realtors will be pushed out by Zillow's automation?
I don't know. I stay in my own lane when it comes to all that stuff with what Realtor.com's doing, what Zillow's doing. I'm just like, you know what? Because I've, seen articles and heard about that, realtors are going to be just X'd here in a couple years, and there will be no realtors.
I don't think that. I don't think that could
Okay.
ever be, because
Yeah.
Because I mean, you the value proposition that an in-person, like face-to-face interaction, like if you're in there and you know like somebody's kids,
Yeah.
right, and you know that they have like dogs and stuff like that, right, you can completely help them navigate.
Yes. Yeah.
Right, so much more than any automation could.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, if you go through like the checklist or automations and
Yeah.
stuff like that, it might spit out some suggestions, but
Yeah.
you know what it looks like, you know what the feel of the property, even more so kind of how to assess like the quality of things, versus like Zillow's gonna always give top of the line quality.
And actually, I was just about to make a TikTok about this. You say about the quality, when I don't know how that would exactly happen with like going into the house and showing it and everything like that. But when I show a house, I don't sell the house to you because you already like this house when you walk into it. You've already seen the pictures of it. You're interested in it. You walk in and you're seeing the paint, you're seeing the floor, you're seeing the pretty white, all the natural light, and I'm breaking it down. I'm like, there's a crack in the ceiling. This looks a little wet in the basement, stuff like that. And I don't know how Zillow would do that.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
going to point out all the issues with the house. And I may look like a negative Nancy showing you this house, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you all the pretty aspects of this house because you're seeing it. And me like trying to paint this picture of like your whole family room, I'm not doing that. I'm gonna tear it down just like I did with my first time home buyers. I'm gonna tear that all back and I'm gonna show you the nitty gritty of it in the nicest way possible. I sound like kind of like crazy doing that, but no, and I don't know how Zillow will help with that. Like,
exactly.
That's really important to have in a realtor.
What's the best strategy for owning a home in your 20s?
Best strategy to owning a home in your 20s. So I have worked with a lot of first-time home buyers that were in the work program or whatever in high school. So they had been saving up since they were like 18, 17 in high school because they were in the work program. And they didn't have any of the college debt. I feel like the college debt's what's holding everybody back. It is for the 20-year-olds. So if you find like a lot of times I work with like the blue collared, like people that just went straight into the workforce or went into the unions. That's a lot of the people I work for. I don't have any, I guess, advice because it's the credit history that you don't have or the credit buildup that you don't have in your 20s. So the people that are able to purchase are the ones that started working early, got out of high school and started working, or they didn't go to college because they don't have the debt.
Build your credit as soon as possible.
Exactly. There you go.
If you're a parent, if you're a homeowner and a parent, you should be number one. You should lock in and dial in on your credit to make sure that you have the best credit. And then number two, you should get all your children on your cards as authorized users, and you should make sure that they have like a long-standing credit history.
Yeah. I started that when I was in high school. My parents helped me with that. And I didn't know what I was doing at the time. But, you know, that helped build my credit for where I am now. So
Yeah, because it starts way early.
Yeah.
And then you also have like a level of accountability and make sure that you maintain that
Yes.
status of credit, because now your children's, you know, credit is dependent on that.
Yeah.
So nice little tip for building your credit. Where is a highly sought after location in the greater Dayton area, and why?
Beaver Creek, Springboro, Centerville, Bellbrook, Brookville, and Inglewood. They sound the same like Bellbrook.
So Bellbrook, Beaver Creek.
Yeah. Centerville, Springboro. Maybe Miamisburg. I would say those are some of the best schools. According to niche.com, those are some of the best schools in the area.
What are you currently promoting?
Yeah.
What are you focused on right now? Look right into this camera.
Okay.
And let us know what you're promoting, what you have going on.
Okay.
What people should check out.
Okay. I'm currently promoting the greater Dayton area like I do across all of my social platforms. I guess what I have going on right now, I have a few things to close in September. A lot of first-time home buyers. I work with a lot of first-time home buyers, but I'm always open to anybody else willing to work with me. And yeah, I think you should check out my Instagram and my TikTok, but I provide a lot of information about the Dayton area. I'm not gonna sell you on a house on my Instagram or my TikTok. I'm building a relationship with you, and I show you what goes on in the weekends and some of my top 5 best places to go for coffee, for breweries, for boutiques. So yeah, Instagram is Turgan with 4 N's. TikTok is Turgan with 4 N's. Facebook, follow my personal. I don't want you following my realtor one because it's just not as fun. Morgan Turner. And I think that's all my social platforms that I promote. Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Morgan.
Yeah.
We appreciate you so much, and we look forward to seeing everything that Dayton has to offer through your feed, and
Thank
then
you.
even more so seeing how you grow and develop as a realtor.
Thank you.
Helping homeowners. Morgan Turner.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Morgan Turner with Iron Gate Realtors, and you're watching Dayton Inspires, powered by AlphaOne Exteriors.